Hi folks! If you'd like to see how I made these split monogram home decor, keep watching! Once you know how to apply this feature of splitting a monogram, you'll realize that there's lots of fun ways you can use it to make chalkboards, to monogram mugs and tumblers, to make t-shirts with split images. So let's get started. We're going to start a new project. I'm doing this on my iPad because it's my preferred device to use Design Space. I really enjoyed the iPad app. So we're going to choose to select an image. I'm choosing image instead of font because when I'm making a monogram for wall decor, I like to use the Cricut alphabet set called Monogram Motif. So we'll click Cartridges and we'll type Monogram Motif. And there it is. We'll let the alphabet open up. And I like to use these dark blue letters that you see. Today I'm going to be choosing the letter T. We'll hit search, and there's my preferred one. I'll select it and add it to my work screen. I'm just making it larger so you can see more easily what I'm doing. I go to Action and Ungroup. I'm going to take my top layer and set it aside. My second layer and delete. My third layer, set it aside, and delete my fourth layer. So the next step that I'm going to do is completely optional. I find the body of the T is very plain, and I want it to be more decorative for splitting. But at the same time, the first layer is too delicate for what I'm going to use it for. It wouldn't have the same effect. So I'm going to make the body of the T more decorative. I go to Shape and select a square. I'm going to change it into a rectangle that will fit in the center of this T. Select both of these together, go to Action and Slice. I take away that decorative piece that I want, and I delete the rest because I no longer need it. I'm going to make this decorative piece white so that you can see more easily what I'm doing. I place it over the T that I want for my monogram and make it the size that I'd like it to be. You can do this by using the Edit panel or just by stretching it out. I'm going to select both together and slice again and move away the piece that I no longer need. And how much prettier is my T now? So if you're doing this on a laptop or a desktop, you're actually going to have to pull away more than one piece. I believe it's 3 pieces after you slice that you'll need to remove in order to see your finished letter with the decorative piece cut out. The next step that we're going to take is to separate the top and bottom of our letter. I'm going to close my layers panel. I don't need it right now. I go to Shapes and choose a square. It's really important when you slice through your letter that you preserve the integrity of the letter. I'll show you what I mean. If I take a square this big, because I'm worried about adding a name to it, select both, go to Action and Slice. When I take away the cutout, I've taken away a big part of the letter T. And it looks kind of odd. We have this little dot at the bottom and the top bars are missing dots and the decoration in the center is gone. Don't be concerned about making a space for the name you want to add. It's not necessary to worry about that at this time. So I'm just going to backtrack and put everything back. I like to make my slicing bar about 1/4 inch in height. That's all you need to slice through. Place it strategically on your letter. You want to keep the design without cutting away too much of it and making it plain. Or if you take a big slice out of the letter R in the center, it's not even going to look like an R or a B anymore. So you want to use a small, narrow bar. The width is not important, but the height should be no more than 1/4 inch so that you save the integrity of your design. So I'm going to select both together again, go to Action and Slice. I'm going to take away the parts that I've sliced out. And as you can see, I still have a fancy decorative letter T, but it's all one piece. We need to be able to separate the top from the bottom so that we can add a name. We're going back to Shapes, take another square. I'm going to place it covering the bottom half of the letter, only the bottom half. Stretch it out so the bottom half is completely covered. Select both again together. Go to Action and Slice again. We take away the rectangle and we have 2 separate pieces to work with now. And now we can make our space for adding a name. I often see people stop at this point and just add a name to their monogram, but I like to go one more step to make the T even more decorative, and I'll show you how I do that. I go back to Shapes, and once again I select a square. I'm going to size it down to 1/4 inch height again. We're going to take that bar and line it up with the top layer. Stretch it out, no wider than the widest point on your letter. Check again that I haven't changed the height of it. And we can see on my iPad that it lines up on both sides with the width of the letter T. I'm going to Action and duplicate it. I'm going to move the second one down, touching the bottom of my letter T. Now we're going to grab the top bar and the top of the T together. Select both. Go to Action and Weld. Grab the bottom of the T and the bottom bar together. Go to Action and Weld. Now you can see that we have a nice finish to our monogram, even a frame you might call it for the name that we're going to add. And we're almost done. Next I'm going to add a name. If you're doing this as a wedding gift, you might want to add something like Mr. and Mrs. or a wedding date or anything like that, whatever you prefer. I'm going to add names to it, so I go to Text. And I like to use a bold classic font to add to my monogram because I like how fancy my primary letter is, but I don't want it to be too busy. One of my favorite fonts to use is called Prague STD. I really like this font for doing monograms. I'm going to type Ron and Lori. I'm not worried about the color. I'm going to set up the size of it. So I line it up where I want it from. Don't worry about that bottom half. Just line it up where you want it to sit against the top half. Make it whatever size you want it to be. This part is all about your personal taste, what you like and what you think the recipient will like. Then we're going to move the bottom up to align with the top. On the bottom of this, I'm going to add a family name. Once again, you can add a birth date or a wedding date or a home purchase date, whatever your project is made for. But I'm going to add a family name. So I'm choosing Prague STD again, and I'm going to write the name Turner. I will take it down to the bottom and stretch it out how I like and align it up with the center of my monogram. Again, it's not a matching color, but that's not something we worry about at this point. You can make the name on the bottom as big as you want. I don't recommend exceeding the size of your primary letter because then the name just takes over your whole monogram. So I prefer to leave it a little smaller and center it up. There we go. That looks nice. So at this point, when you get it looking how you want it to look, you're going to select all, go to Action, and Attach. You'll notice when you attach that everything becomes one color, and everything is as it should be when you send it to cut. It will cut in the shape and be easy to transfer. If you forget to attach, all the words and letters are going to be separated on your mat, and that's not going to be very good for moving to your project. So now that we've attached everything, I go to Edit, and I'm going to size my monogram to fit my frame. I'm going to be using an 11 by 14 frame. I'd like to have a 1-inch clear all around my monogram. So I'm going to use 9 wide by 12 high. And that's the finished size of my monogram. All I have left to do is send it to cut and apply it to my project. If you'd like to see a video on how to use this technique to split images, please leave me a comment. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can find a link for my Facebook group in the comments below. Thank you for watching.